Hello, everybody. I'm back on my YouTube channel for another video. I know it's been a minute since I last did one, but this one's kind of tough for me to get out of the way. I'm sure a host of others on YouTube have done a video about this same topic matter. They either watched another video and or dropped a comment about it, but I figure I'd try and jump in and do a video giving my 2 cents on it, so here it is. Where do I start with this one? Hollywood Hulk Hogan ended up passing away today at the age of 71. He was about 2.5 weeks away from his 72nd birthday, and his cause of death was cardiac arrest, I believe, if I read the report on NEWSMAX correctly. I got a notification about his passing when I was at work earlier this morning. I saw it and I was like, this can't be true. This can't be serious. And then I heard on the radio later on, I want to say it was AM 560 The Answer here in Illinois where I live. During the Fox News breaking news updates, I want to say near the end of a round of headlines real quick that they would go down either after a radio show goes to commercial or sometime before coming back from commercial. They dropped a snippet about Hulk Hogan passing away, and I was just left shaking my head in disbelief. I literally couldn't believe it. Another one of the many names that I watched when I was a kid, and now they're gone. You can add the Ultimate Warrior to that list. Randy the Macho Man Savage. Where else? Kurt Mr. Perfect Hennig. Roddy Piper. And even announcers and commentators as well. And, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Mean Gene Okerlund. Gorilla Monsoon even. There's another one. Oh, Howard Finkel. I was going to say there's another one I'm trying to think of, and I'm drawing a blank, and it was Howard Finkel. But yeah, as far as Hulk Hogan goes, I mean, if you're a pro wrestling fan, if you know anything and everything about pro wrestling, and you're familiar with the name of Hulk Hogan, especially the younger generation, who they watch wrestling, but they've heard of Hulk Hogan, but they never saw him wrestle because by the time they were born, he was either long retired or something like that. They'll go on the internet and they'll watch his matches like on YouTube, or they'll pull up clips on like on another person's YouTube channel or some other video uploading website, and they'll watch matches or promos or whatever. But it's not the same. I was born in early 1989, so I can tell you from personal experience watching the product at the time. I've been around pro wrestling, probably ever since. I've been around probably around, I don't know, the vast majority of my life, or my whole life. I'm 36 and a half years old, so it goes to show you how long I've been a fan of it and how much I've been watching it. But one of those many names, that always stuck with me was Hulk Hogan. He was one of my many favorites growing up, along with the Ultimate Warrior, Randy the Macho Man Savage, Shawn Michaels, and the likes of Bret the Hitman Hart, for example. If I had to say who my favorite wrestlers were growing up, it would be just that. It would be in no exact order. Shawn Michaels, Randy the Macho Man Savage, Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, and Bret the Hitman Hart. You could throw the likes of Rick the Nature Boy Flair, The Undertaker, and even Scott Hall on that list. At the time known as Razor Ramon. He didn't start wrestling under his real name until after he went to WCW in the mid 1990s. But Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, whatever you want to call him, it's all the same thing. But anyway, the seven infamous words of Hulk Hogan that always stuck with me throughout my childhood. I never forgot them, and to this day I still remember what they were. And those words exactly were, and I quote, "Well, let me tell you something, brother." And every chance or chances that Hulk Hogan got, like at an episode of Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view, for example, if Hogan made an appearance, he would excuse me, he would open a promo by saying just that very thing. He would just say, "Well, let me tell you something, brothers," and the crowd would go nuts. It's the feeling of nostalgia that you got when you watched Hulk Hogan, or you watched him, cut a promo long after he retired. But on the other hand, he was also a well-known, in terms of professional wrestling, politician. He had 100% creative control over his character. There were numerous times where he said another famous set of words. I didn't find out about these until much later, but those words were, and I quote, "That don't work for me, brother." So, two phrases that I learned from Hulk Hogan involving the word brother. The first one was, "Well, let me tell you something, brother," and the second one was, "That don't work for me, brother." But he was Hulk Hogan. I'm not gonna. He was one of those guys where if there were anybody and everybody who wanted to go into the business, and they wanted to go into a professional wrestling career and or bodybuilding career, who was one of your inspirations and or role models as far as why you wanted to get into it. Believe it or not, many people would say it was Hulk Hogan. So good on them. But yeah, this was a real gut punch for me because along with a host of other names in the wrestling business that have passed away that I remember, commentators, ring announcers, backstage interviewers, they've all they all left too soon, in my opinion. Perfect example, a couple years ago I did a video on legendary ring announcer Howard Finkel. He, in my opinion, when it comes to ring announcing or announcing in sports in general, he's not. He's not only one of the greatest ring announcers in the history of professional wrestling and or the WWE / World Wrestling Federation. He, in my opinion, is and was the epitome of ring announcer. I mean, nothing against the likes of Michael Buffer, but in my opinion, if you were to look up the definition of ring announcer in a figurative dictionary, you'd see a picture of Howard Finkel. In my opinion, that's how great he was at his craft. So many great calls from him. Sometimes I'll pull up a match or whatever on YouTube just to hear Howard Finkel announce that someone won a match and they're either still they're still the champion or a new champion. Whatever the case may be, and whatever championship or championships are on the line. One of those many calls, speaking of Hulk Hogan, was from WrestleMania 6. WrestleMania 6 happened when I was 1, but I didn't watch until sometime in the mid-1980s. When I rounded from Blockbuster, I was like 7 or something when I first watched WrestleMania 1, or WrestleMania 6. Well, WrestleMania 1 also. WrestleManias 1, 2, 3, and 4 took place before I was born. I was born in early 1989, and WrestleMania 4 took place in the spring of 1988. WrestleMania 3 happened in 1987, WrestleMania 2 happened in 1986, and WrestleMania 1 took place in 85. But WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 6 happened in 1990. I was a couple months removed from my first birthday, but I didn't watch WrestleMania 6 until, again, sometime in the mid-1990s. And Howard Finkel's call of the Ultimate Warrior defeating Hulk Hogan for the WWF title, it was rather intense. In my opinion, one of the greatest calls in Howard Finkel's career. And with Hulk Hogan getting the WWF Championship from ringside, walking into the ring and giving it to the Ultimate Warrior and presenting it to him as a show of respect, and giving him a hug after the match out of good sportsmanship. That was a rather incredible moment. And it's the match itself. Say what you want to, it wasn't anything great or spectacular, but I think it's the moment itself that, whenever people watch the match, that's what they focus on. It's the first time ever in the main event of WrestleMania, champion versus champion, winner take all, and it's two fan favorites fighting it out for the WWF title. It's not every day that you would see something like that happen, but say what you want to about the main event of WrestleMania 6, it was history making in that perspective. But would I consider that as one of my all-time favorite matches as far as the Ultimate Warrior goes? No. Off the top of my head, if you were to ask me my all-time favorite matches involving the Ultimate Warrior in no exact order, I'd be like, that's easy. Randy the Macho Man Savage at WrestleMania 7. Rick Rude at SummerSlam 1990, and Rick Rude at SummerSlam 1989. The WrestleMania 6 match against Hulk Hogan would be an honorable mention in my book. I'd put an asterisk next to that one. But for the most part, this was a tough one. I'm still trying to grasp the reality that Hulk Hogan's no longer with us. It's gonna be a tough one. But it goes back to something that I was immediately reminded of, I think sometime in mid-2000 on an episode of WCW Nitro. Hulk Hogan was addressing the critics and the skeptics in the wrestling newsletters, like Dave Meltzer, for example. Excuse me. He addressed a crowd. Again, I think this was on Nitro, if I remember right. He was like, I keep being asked the question by the skeptics. Is Hollywood Hulk Hogan getting older? And to that question, my answer is yes, I am, along with every other superstar in the locker room, day by day. And if you really think about it, he was right. It goes back to something that I heard my dad say once many years ago when I was growing up. He said every day, we're that much older. Every day, every week, every month, every year, you're that much older than what you were X amount of years, weeks, months, and days ago. And it's true. The harsh reality is, you don't want to admit it, but it's true. Again, look at me. I'm 36 and a half years old. I'd love to go back to being how I was when I was 16 and a half or 26 and a half. I'd love to, but you can't turn back the hands of time. But it was kind of tough trying to make this video, mainly because I got so many other things on my mind, but I'm still kind of shaken by the news that one of my all-time favorite pro wrestlers has come and gone. I mean, this is, I know many people out there probably watching this. I was never really one for Hulk Hogan, or I never considered myself a fan of his, but I I respect his work in the ring, and I give him credit for everything he's done for the business. And there are some people that are like, yeah, Hulk Hogan he was one of the biggest names of pro wrestling, and also in the 1980s. But so what? Different folks, different strokes. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But let me know what you think. Especially if you're a pro wrestling fan, let me know what you think as far as the passing of Hulk Hogan. Real quick, everyone's going to ask, how did you first hear about Hulk Hogan? Well, I first heard about him because of just by watching wrestling. It wasn't until sometime when I got a little bit older I started watching the Rocky movies, and when I saw him in Rocky 3, I was like, wait a minute, that's Hulk Hogan. I don't know what his name is in this movie, but I gotta see how Hulk Hogan does against Sylvester Stallone. And a little while before I started recording this video, actually, I looked it up on YouTube and just type in Rocky Balboa versus Thunder Lips, or Rocky Balboa versus Hulk Hogan, or whatever. However you want to type it in, and however you want to phrase it. It'll literally be like the second or third video that you see. As far as the fight from Rocky 3 between Sylvester Stallone and Hulk Hogan, it's over the top, crazy, and wild. But on the other hand, it's what makes it entertaining, in my opinion. Some people aren't really all that crazy about Rocky 3, but to me, I enjoy it. Not just because it's got Mr. T and Hulk Hogan in it either. I consider myself a fan of the Rocky franchise, with the exception of Rocky 5, but the last 20-something minutes of that movie are what really make it. The last 20-something minutes of Rocky 5 are what make it worth watching, but that's another story for another day. So yeah. Let me know what you guys think as far as the passion of Hulk Hogan. What were some of your favorite matches? What were some of your favorite moments? How did you first hear about him? What was the first time you ever watched him via live on TV, or or because of a wrestling event that you rented or bought on VHS, for example? How did you first hear about him? How did you first see him? What was one of your all-time favorite matches of his, or anything like that? But I also had, speaking of, as far as favorite moments, I remember when I was a kid, I was able to do a good Randy the Macho Man Savage impersonation. I think I still can now, but myself and a friend of mine, whose name I'm going to keep anonymous, for all I know he might be watching this after it gets posted onto YouTube, we went as the Mega Powers together. As far as Halloween one year, he went as Randy Savage, and I went as Hulk Hogan one time, and a couple years later we did it again, but it was vice versa. But when I went as Hulk Hogan, I was like, I can't find a Hulkamania t-shirt, so I'm just gonna go with a black or yellow or red bandana or something like that, and an NWO t-shirt in the meantime. So that'll do for right now. And it worked. I found myself it was either a red or yellow bandana somewhere, and a NWO Wolfpack t-shirt. The t-shirt was black and the NWO logo on it was red. So that was my best makeshift Hulk Hogan impersonation. Throwing on a pair of blue or black jeans, an NWO Wolfpack t-shirt, and a yellow, red, or black bandana, and do your best Hulk Hogan impersonation the whole day and see what happens. And it paid off rather well. I'll never forget that. It was rather enjoyable, to say the least. But yeah, let me know what you guys think as far as the passing of Hulk Hogan, and For those who haven't already done so, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Excuse me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check this video out. Give it a thumbs up. Spread the word about my channel. Check out some of my other videos that I've done. Even my older stuff that I posted back like when I was in high school. The oldest videos I have on my channel, I think, are from the spring of 2007. So, let me know your thoughts on the passing of Hulk Hogan, your favorite matches, moments, etc., if anything, and be well, stay safe, and in the words of Jerry Springer, take care of yourselves and each other.